with the CMC getting called by the map, and there was some discussion about that. And I don't have a big problem with that. But what do you guys think about the CMC getting called?
Yeah,
Terrible
I
idea.
I think it opens
Yeah,
up
it's.
possibilities.
I didn't find it terrible.
We've
I'm
already had
starting to
Spike and
think-
Starlight.
I'm starting to think that that this whole thing, like, since the CMC is being called, I wonder if it applies to every pony in Equestria.
Probably.
I wonder if it only applies to mostly like relatives of the main six.
It's a racist map. It's only ponies and close friends of ponies.
No, the map used to be like, it used to just have one goal to just call the main characters, like just the main six.
So that's the
And
broader
No,
problem.
then
Is
it went
the
to Starlight. I can look past it.
Well,
It's just stupid.
The
I'm
broader
sorry.
It's
problem
a-
is the show is like tired of the main six, and I'm not.
It's
I don't think we are.
It's a literal
Exactly.
plot device, though. It calls their butts.
I mean,
It's a booty call.
I feel like
Get out of here, 4J.
Starlight is. I feel
It's
like
a booty
Starlight
call.
is really all the new stuff that we
That's the
needed.
plot device.
All right, and then of course we have the train to Mount Aris, which was a little bit of a surprise. I didn't know the train went there, but they did mention it was a new station. So
Yeah.
But it doesn't make sense because in the sorry, if they're gonna mention the movie like every 5 minutes, I might as well do it and compare it to the movie. But in the movie, Mount Aris was just an island. It was an island, but in the show, it's a plateau.
a peninsula,
That's
I
a
think is the word you're looking
plateau.
for.
Yeah,
Really
peninsula.
But
They
yeah,
built
I didn't.
land to
I,
it,
I
though.
didn't get a good screenshot of. How did the train get there? Was it a bridge or was it a landmass?
No, it was
connecting?
just connected to the land.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it's a peninsula.
Yeah, it was
I
connected
don't
to
have
the land. It wasn't a
Yeah, it's
bridge.
peninsula, not an island or a plateau.
I'll have to take
It
a
was
closer
just-
look. I'm curious. now.
It was so. It was just. Oh.
But no, it makes sense because if we have a train station there, we're going to go there more in the future. So hopefully you guys like Mount Aris because we're going to see it a lot more, I think.
Get on the hype train.
I like Equestria better. Thank you.
I don't know. I like the movie version of the sea better because it was in more detail.
It
Yeah.
was under the sea.
Well, actually, speaking of the movie, I think this episode did a
Yeah.
better job than the premiere of like talking about the movie because,
Yeah.
like, when they
Oh,
did
yeah,
that
just
that gag with
shoehorned in everything.
no, that gag with Applejack was pretty funny about how Applejack saved Equestria. That was, jokes like that make it bearable. I think.
Yeah,
I think-
well,
like,
I guess they just explained it to the audience just for the people who didn't see the movie.
You ever
Well,
wonder if ponies made like a boat or a ship to travel in?
Like
What
an airship.
Like I feel like
airship or something like that.
Like
Well,
an
that's
Yeah, like I feel
airboat.
like the train is being overused at this point.
You gotta sell the train
yeah.
toy.
I mean, it's been there for like almost like eight
You know
seasons
why?
already.
It's 'cause
I
they
like the
named it
train.
The friendship. It's the Friendship
Yeah.
Express.
Yeah.
That's
And
why
we've
we
only
use
seen
it.
that airship at least like I don't know how many
One
times.
one point I do like to make is like the music when Sweetie Belle was jumping over the rocks. The music was good, but it felt really out of place.
What do you mean?
Did it though? I felt like it was.
It's almost like there was
It's like
wind
too
chimes.
over the top in Winston.
They didn't really
Yeah.
explain it, but I think like
Agree.
that was a magical
It's just
area
the
that
place
had
looked
natural music or
boring.
something. Was that what they were doing?
Yeah, they even.
Yeah.
I like how they brought up the plot, or they brought up the thing. Legend says it was this, and then all of a sudden, Sweetie Belle just interrupts them, so we never hear it.
Yeah, no. I was thinking at the
Gotta go
time.
fast.
It caught my attention because they were showing Sweetie Belle leap around and listen to the music and all that. I was like, okay, something's going down because they're showing, not telling for a change. And then when I realized that she cut him off while he was, delivering exposition, I thought that was kind of funny.
I missed that.
Yeah.
I missed that too.
Yeah, I mean,
Sweet
I
Belle's just like Sonic. She doesn't care. About the
what I
exposition
don't
and
understand
stories.
what I don't understand is them coming back into the Sea Pony world, then coming out and coming back in. Is
Well,
it?
okay,
the
yeah.
necklace.
That was the
Call me
conflict.
crazy. Call me insane, but I got a really weird divorced parents episode from this, and they have to choose between to live.
I thought there was gonna be
every one
like
of
a
the
huge
parents.
fight at the end
Yeah.
between the parents and stuff.
So you're telling me Scootaloo is the father?
You wouldn't.
I
What?
thought they were going for divorce too, but then they
I'm-
went complete 180 and like no, they still love each other. They're best. They're all
Yeah.
close enough.
Yeah, they just
It
don't
would've-
want
It's
to
like
live in
it's
the
like
same
why do they
house.
live apart from each other?
It would have been better if they left it like open to interpretation. Like if they couldn't go
Yeah.
100% divorce because that's kind of serious. But
I
Or can't they?
I would have liked it if they were to have like an episode where they teach kids, how to handle like divorce and all
they
that.
tried that
just
on Sesame
being
Street.
separated.
No.
Not even divorce specifically, but having to choose between two
Yeah,
different
like
homes.
like
That's kind of what they did.
It was just kind
kind of hinted in there, like don't say directly
Oh,
that
they-
they're divorced or
like, it's
anything
just like-
that.
It's like, oh, the parents are getting divorced. Okay, you have to choose which one. All right, I don't want to do that. I'm just gonna all
Yeah.
every week.
Well, the problem with the
Every other
episode is
day.
it didn't really have a resolution. They never actually solved the problem. They just said, "Oh, just kind of ignore the
solution
problem."
was keep doing what
So
you're doing.
pretty
Yeah.
much, if you're going by that, then that means the CMC, the map calling them, was just pointless.
Kind of,
Yeah.
It was a change of mindset, not a change of conflict. Like the conflict never
Dude,
really
I-
changed.
That's stupid.
If I ever do a stream, I'm gonna like marathon this episode and like take a shot every time they mention it.
Okay, so
Yeah,
it's
it's
the guy from drinking.
it's like the first time they mentioned it in this episode. I was like, this show. I thought we were done with this. Move on. Stop
Yeah.
referencing the movie.
Also, I like the mother's kind of speak to your manager hairstyle.
Oh yeah, by the way, wasn't anybody like so thought it was weird that everybody still liked Twilight even though she's tried to steal the pearl from the movie?
I know, right?
Yeah, all of a
that
sudden
was-
they just like her.
Well,
I
no,
guess.
they are best. They are best friends again at the end of the movie, I guess. Right?
I guess so, but
I know,
mean,
but if they're gonna mention the movie, we do
still
have to
doesn't
mention this.
the queen of like Sequestria should have been still mad at her. I guess. I mean, I don't know,
Yeah, she should have been banned. Yeah, sorry.
banned or something. Yeah.
I'm sorry. This...
No, they were just like no
Like,
friendship.
maybe a nod to it at least. Like, oh, we
I'm
won't let you
surprised.
touch the necklaces.
Yeah, nod to it.
Maybe like
I'm
maybe.
very-
Also,
like,
I
a
like
few
how they mentioned the.
restrictions.
I like how they finally mentioned the necklace, and they didn't mention it in like the first premiere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why it
The
took so
one-
long.
I pointed
yeah.
out to you, Tootsie, that it was probably a fragment of the pearl.
Yeah, but they didn't even. They
Well,
didn't even explain it in
yeah,
the very
I
first.
I think
episode.
we
What
all
did they do
assumed
with
that.
The pearl anyway. Did they like?
You
You know?
don't need to
Did,
explain every magical item if you can get the gist of it. by
I'm
just-
sorry, but if we have a magical ball that can turn them into sea ponies, like
They
valuable
fragmented
land
in
to the
one.
I
moon.
mean, yeah. Whatever happened to the ball? That's the one
Well,
thing.
they
they're-
It
broke it up.
shattered.
Yeah.
It shattered. They mentioned
Apparently.
that it
And
shattered.
how it's gonna how's everybody?
How did
every
it shatter?
hippogriff
They never
gonna have
explained
enough,
it.
like of those crystals.
They don't need to explain
if they
everything.
want to. It must have ran out of supply at
Dang.
one point.
All right. I think we're getting hung up on like a detail from like the premiere.
The
No, so-
analysts.
so the
we have to
detail-
we have to analyze everything.
We should be
We're
happy the
nerds,
detail
we
was
have to do this.
explained in this episode, not that it exists.
Also,
in the first
don't-
place.
There's still a lot to talk about.
Is there though?
I was also liked how they were playing the bongos. I was like, it appreciated me as a drum enthusiast.
So, all right, I'm to the screenshot of them hugging, and it's like, yeah, okay, everything's happy. Like, it didn't really have a conclusion, did it?
No.
Just
It
have a
really
party,
was-
which they've
It
been
even
partying every
it
week.
It even did a freeze frame on him turning into a sea pony.
Oh yeah, I didn't catch that, but yeah, like, I don't know, it was weird. I mean, I kind of see what they were going for. It has a lot of good elements. You know, I didn't hate the episode, but at the same time, it feels like it's an obligatory introduction to Mount Aris for this show, and it doesn't
Yeah.
really accomplish a whole lot other
It
than
was
that.
a
It
bad
didn't fit.
mandatory introduction.
It felt like it didn't do anything.
Yeah, because it
Well,
didn't.
It introduced Mount Aris.
I can't say it didn't
Yeah,
do
right.
anything. I'll give it
The thing
some
is-
props.
The
It's
thing
just
is,
part of the
it
negatives
didn't
outweigh
do-
the positives.
It didn't do anything as an episode itself. On its own, the episode didn't do anything. It just, for the show, it introduced
Which
Mount Aris, but for itself, it didn't really.
it's
do
funny though
anything.
because if they don't have introduction episodes like this, we complain. Well, I complain about things popping up out of nowhere like the school. But when they do introduce stuff, then it feels like it's a little slow and like, okay, get to the point already.
No,
So
they need-
people like
they
me
need
complain
to
either
get
way.
good at- They need to get good at the introduction stuff.
It doesn't make
Yeah.
sense.
I think it would have been
Well-
better if they left the separation open to interpretation. Like, didn't say it was divorce, but also didn't make them best friends very clearly, like hugging in this one screen. Yeah, like I don't know. I felt like they could have a little more subtlety with that.
He's
I
like,
hon-
oh,
I
I
think
think it'd been
the-
funny if the reaction
I
would have
prefer
just
my
been
shows
like,
with
I
friendship
think
leaders.
the episode could have done a little bit better if it actually dealt with
Something. Not not divorce,
divorce.
but some actual conflict with a
example.
resolution. This wasn't
Oh, wait.
really a real conflict with no resolution
Yeah.
at all. It was
I got a
kinda-
question.
Mhm.
Did Twilight ever get that one sea pony to actually sign the permission slip? Because she avoided it.
Did you ever see that?
Yeah, we
Probably not.
Oh, and
So-
actually-
Someone
okay,
with important business.
Another thing, we're missing kind of the point here is Sweetie Belle and Scootaloo kind of getting into an argument. I guess that was the real conflict I kind of
Not
overlooked.
really, because
Yeah, that was like
they,
the only conflict.
yeah, they
ever.
got into a conflict for one commercial break.
Hold on. Tootsie, what's your favorite color?
Yeah.
The real problem all along was them themselves.
Tootsie, what's your
Yeah.
favorite color? We're gonna emulate this. What's your favorite color?
Why were you asking me this? It has
What's
nothing to do
your-
with
He
the
has the
episode.
opposite, obviously.
Just
Yeah,
answer him.
just answer the question.
Just answer him.
I think
answer
it's
the
red
question.
and brown.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Oh my god, I hate you. My favorite color is green. Go die.
No, my favorite color is blue.
Oh, I hate you all.
I hate you.
Mine is blue too.
Okay,
This is-
really?
this is
There-
just-
the North
Hey, I
and
love
the
you,
South
Shady.
Separated.
All right, I think
This
we're
is
gonna
so dumb.
I think we're
The
going to jump into
conflict-
individual reviews in a moment, but I have one more question for you. How do you feel about pony heads on sea pony bodies with no other style changes other than just their heads
Stupid.
popped onto their...
Stupid.
It looks so wrong.
Shooby-doo, shoop, shoop, shoop.
It's stupid.
It's so wrong. I
That
can't.
had more effort in it than this.
I mean, I don't know. It just felt really pointless.
I see why they didn't go with the pointier nose because they want them to stand out. But no, they should have changed their style a little bit. It's so weird.
Oh man,
What if-
Half
what
of
if-
our main got
because
fixed.
Would it be? Would it be better if they changed like the ears into like fins or something?
Something with the head, because the head is completely unchanged as far as I can tell. It's just the pony head
what I-
copy pasted.
I mean,
What
I
I-
guess
what
I
I-
would get it for the hippogriffs because since hippogriffs have like the
Well, yeah,
they have a lawnmower pony nose, I guess.
Oh yeah, their
and then-
ear and their nose, and even maybe
Yeah.
their eyes.
Ear and her nose,
so
but
maybe I don't know. It's just
I think the head
I
shape
don't
might be
know.
different too. Yeah. Anyway,
I
all
think
right.
we were a little
Yeah.
bit lazy, a little bit.
Anyway, that's something we'll be complaining about for many years to come, no doubt.
Uh,
For now, let's jump into our individual ratings and reviews
Yeah.
just for this episode. We'll try not to get caught up in all the other Sea Pony stuff. But all right, to start us off, Drummer Shy, what do you think?
It was okay. It was not the best, but it was an okay episode. Something I would watch in my spare time when I have nothing to do. Big shout out to Michelle Krieber and Claire Corlett. Great friends, great people, and great voice actors on the show. They did a really great job. I thought the episode kind of dragged. It made me kind of switch back off from my computer, and then something interesting happened. I did like the bongo part, which was pretty unique, but I didn't understand why they had to go from changing from a sea pony to a regular pony, and then from hippogriff to sea pony. I thought that was just pretty.
conflict.
It was a conflict, yes. So I'm gonna have to give this a 6.5 out of 10. It was okay.
All right, 6.5 from Drummer Shy. I'm next, but I'll wrap things up. So we'll jump to Magma Master. What do you think?
Well, like I said, just as an episode itself, it wasn't really doing much, and it didn't stand out for being particularly bad, but it wasn't particularly good either. It was just, well, it didn't even hold my attention that much. I actually had to try to focus on the episode, so I just felt it
Bored.
kind of.
Meh.
I had an empty feeling at the beginning of the episode, and my feeling did not change at the end of the episode. The episode did nothing to change my mood, how I feel about the episode, anything. So, I'm gonna give a rating that is just as meaningless as the episode. 5 out of 10.
Ooh,
Oh
right in the
wow.
middle. All
Dang.
right, Shady
Right
Games.
in the middle.
What do you
Exact
think?
flat half.
Oh, am I?
Yeah.
Am I
Yeah,
next?
Yeah.
Go Shady.
Okay, so this episode was meh in my opinion. Like, I like the fact that we get to see the hippogriffs again, particularly, but you know, I'm kind of about the map calling like the CMC who are outside of the main characters. Also, there was like with like the whole issue, like the way I see it, like between Sea Pony and Hippogriff, like the way I see it, at first it seemed like a divorce, and I thought, you know, that's pretty good. Like I can dig it. Like, you know, kind of telling kids, oh, what happens when your parents separate or something like that. Like not straight up saying it's a divorce or anything, but you know, it's open to interpretation. And also I mean, you know, the songs and the music, some of it kind of seemed out of place and kind of unneeded, like with the moment where Sweetie Belle goes into into the valley. I can't really explain it. I'm bad with words right now. So with that, it was still kind of fun to watch, like not too interesting, and like there wasn't too much of like a friendship problem that much, if that makes sense. And that's pretty much all I have to say about it, really. I'm gonna give this episode a 7 out of 10.
All right.
Wow, this is pretty mediocre.
No, seven's
Mediocre.
up there.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
a standard rating.
Well, Sonic Crew, what did you think?
Yeah. Honestly confused. Like, I mean, most of the parts were good. Like, getting to see Mount Aris and see Equestria again. Like, but the thing is, it's like they're forced. I'm still on like the thing where it's like they're trying to force you to watch the movie so that you have to know all of this stuff. But I mean, they did explain a little bit more well, especially with like how like the pearl, like the crystals of them turn into the sea plants. At least we got some good explanation for that. The premise, not so great because it just felt like really like I really didn't even understand what it was like when it ended. Like, oh, come on, what was the message of this?
There
Of the
wasn't
whole
one.
thing. I don't know.
Don't argue with your friends. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Don't
Go to a
don't
new
argue.
location.
Be what you want, I guess. I don't know.
Be a
But
fish and a
yeah,
bird.
the Crusaders, really unneeded at all, and especially like the song, because like it felt so out of place. Like Shady said, like they could have just like gone from the arguments you weren't like complaining about the pros and cons of the places, and they could have just kept on arguing, but no song was needed at all. But overall, I'm gonna give this a 6 out of 10.
All right, 6 from Sonic Crew. Let me write that down. Who's next? Tootsie Forever. What did you think?
All right, what's that? One sec, my eyes hurting.
Rant.
The Tootsie rate.
Rant.
Actually, it's not more of a. I want to go over some good stuff first.
Don't
First of
go.
all, I will admit this episode was definitely one of the more beautiful episodes
Mm-hmm.
because I really liked the detail in the background of how nice everything looked. Yeah, the meadow looked pretty boring. I'm not gonna lie, that actually really did look pretty boring. I'm not sure what Sweetie Belle saw in that. It was cool to see the hippogriffs. Like I thought it was nice. I thought they were probably the best part of the movie. And I'm talking about the actual hippogriffs, not the crappy sea ponies. I like the little concept of how they had basically switched between, or most of them are divided on living up land underwater. I thought that was a nice thing. We didn't really get to see much of the underwater, so none of us would really be able to tell where we'd want to live if we were hippogriffs or sea ponies. Now time for some minor negatives. Why were the CMC called? I could understand the main 6. I can understand Starlight Glimmer. I could let that slide. I can understand Spike because he was sort of there. And CMC, I just don't understand. The map has no like boundaries anymore. Another minor problem that I did have was I don't know. For some reason, the CMC didn't really do anything in this episode. Like they didn't really solve the problem. All it was is just that one dude just solving his own problem, but he didn't even solve it because he was still living between both of them. Yet he was doing that before. So, what was the reason for it? Twilight had no reason to be in this episode. She had no reason to be in this episode as she didn't really do anything other than I don't know. Yeah, I wouldn't even call
Doing
it.
horsey businesses.
I'm just gonna say BS around. Can I say that?
I thought she was cute and funny, but whatever.
Yeah, I thought she was cute.
Yeah, cute and funny. Okay.
doing her
Another
royal
minor problem I
businesses.
had is that I really don't like it when they have to like just mention the movie. Go watch the movie. Go watch the
Yeah,
movie.
yeah.
Go watch the movie. Because that's the
It's
entire
like
vibe.
torture.
Also, one other minor nitpick, and this is just a very minor one. When they were on the train and they were explaining what a hippogriff was, and they said most of them had like never seen one. There was hippogriffs leaving the train. There were hippogriffs
Really?
leaving the train.
Wait, really?
Yo,
Yeah, there were.
why were they
he's
there?
right. He's right.
Yeah, it was just odd.
Come on,
Another
Aris.
thing.
Maybe they meant before today. Maybe that's
No, overall, I'll give this like it was a pretty episode, but it had really no taste when you get to the center of it. It had no purpose. It looked nice on the outside, but when you bite in, it's just awful.
It's just
But-
like a bad moldy cheese.
It's just terrible. But I don't know. I can't hate this episode, but I also can't like it. So I also can't be like brutally hating on it. So I'll just give it like a 6 out of 10.
All right, 6 out of 10. Turtle Pain. What'd you think?
Okay, unless if anyone that's been like completely oblivious to me, I've been like brooding and hating this episode the whole time.
Oh no.
Oh no.
I will start off with a positive. The Tootsie said it was a very pretty episode. Both locations were very good, and I can lead that towards one of my first negatives. The beach, which is kind of like the meeting of both locations, was the ugliest of the 3 locations, which thematically it shouldn't be. Thematically, it should be the prettiest of the 3 if the resolution at the end is what it was, which is, oh, you can do both. Also, I'm gonna then go ahead and tear into the resolution, which is it was a bad resolution. Why did we need anyone to resolve this if he was already doing it? If anything, it just made him feel worse about himself. He didn't need any help. He already fixed the problem. He just needed to talk to his parents about it.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, I agree. It should have been more of an ambiguous relationship between his parents. Of like they shouldn't have been so friendly towards each other. They should have been a bit more, uncomfortable or odd to make him have a reason to choose. As it stands, he has no reason to pick. He can do exactly what he wanted to do. Also, I'm going to go ahead and say Sequestria is better because turtles are there.
I disagree.
I hate you forever. I'm unsubscribing. I will also disagree with you guys that the song wasn't pointless. I liked the song, actually.
You can still like something pointless, though.
Yeah, I can. Let's see. So I disagreed with that. Yeah, pretty much like everything this episode needed to do right, it was doing wrong, and everything it could have gotten wrong for the sake of, personal blunders or whatever. It did it fine, but everything that was important just was it dropped the ball on it. Oh, there was something else. Oh, the movie. Everything with the movie. Yeah, all of you saying that you're so glad they finally explained how the necklaces worked. That was one of those things I didn't need to explain how it worked because they showed how it worked already. And yeah, you could argue that you needed to watch the movie, or you could have just been a more vigilant viewer and paid attention to whenever someone transformed, they were always wearing that necklace. Then you didn't really need it to be explained. You just could kind of pick up on visual clues. So, I didn't like that they explained it because it was kind of pointless exposition. And as for Twilight, she was adorable, but she was kind of pointless to the story.
Had no purpose.
She had no purpose. And I'm gonna finish off with probably my lowest rating I've ever given an episode, with a 3 out of 10.
Oh no.
A 3?
A 3. I hated it.
Oh
Wow.
Oh.
But it had turtles.
Yeah, but it was terrible.
All right.
One thing I did forget to mention was that
Land is better. We have horses.
CMC didn't. There was no reason for the
Sequestria is
CMC.
better.
There felt like no reason for the CMC to actually have a fight because it was settled within after the commercial break.
Yeah.
All right, we're running over time, so I'm going to run through my points really quick. So we have the CMC call by the map, which is significant, but also not a giant surprise. We got the movie. Wait, what? I can't read my handwriting. Okay, they explained the movie on the train. I thought the way they did that was a lot better. How they have Apple Bloom telling the story, and she has that an Applejack save the day joke. Like that sort of exposition. You make it into a joke. It's a lot better in comparison to the premiere, which was just like face palming, groaning, like why are they doing this? Just get on with it already. But here they tack on a joke to it, and I think it works here. So my thing is the whole tie-in with the movie is a lot better in this episode than the premiere. And then the pearl shard finally being explained. I liked how it was explained, actually. So I disagree with you, Turtle. We're not friends anymore.
Not friends anymore.
No more friends.
But during the premiere and how what's her name? The Sea Pony. What is her name? It's not Skystar. The Skystar discount, whatever. She kept changing. She changed into a Sea Pony. I was like, okay, it must be the pearl. But she didn't touch the pearl. She didn't they didn't reference it at all. It just sort of happened. I didn't like that because I feel like that's sort of lazy. I like when the show rounds out its lore and the way things work. And of course, this episode does explain that the pearl is the source of that, which we already knew. But it's just good to have that kind of clarification, I thought. Then we have the any griff, every griff sort of wordplay. I don't know. I miss the any pony sort of stuff. I like ponified words, as corny as they are, and to kind of force in other species. Maybe I'm a pony racist or whatever, but I prefer I prefer just every pony ponified words. Anyway,
Little racist
I
FIM.
guess Hasbro hinting a new show to us.
maybe.
I guess.
So, okay, my biggest complaint, I'm going to go to the screenshot for this. My biggest complaint of the whole episode is probably the pony heads just copy-pasted onto little sea pony bodies. It's disturbing and weird. It's like the definition of uncanny. They don't look like they redesigned the heads at all. They just, it bothers me. These designs, it bothers me. Like the actual sea ponies, they're well-rounded. The head shape is different. They have different ears, and their snout's a little pointier. So it kind of fits in with the whole slender look of the body. But with the ponies, it's just their head on a sea pony body. It looks so weird to me. I can't get over how weird that is. Even when we had the transformation into what were their names? The Breezies. That was a whole redesign. They still had their colors, same characters, but it was a redesign of their style. Here, It's not.
It's just a
all right.
copy and
All right, I'm gonna stop ranting because it just looks so weird to me. I can't really say
Yeah.
anything more than that. But really quick, Scootaloo singing. Has she been singing recently in the show?
No.
Because I remember her not being able to sing. You know, kind of that was a joke. What in season 1 or 2? So I don't know. I thought, and I'm not sure how I feel about her singing now. And then we had the X said to tell you why. What are we laughing at?
It don't matter, just-
Unsubscribe.
Okay. Turtle Pain just shared a GIF of him unsubscribing from my channel. Anyway, I thought the song
Great
was
job,
good.
Turtle.
I'm not even a big song person, but I still thought it was a good song, even though it's not like the sort of song I would listen to over and over. Okay, another big complaint. I apologize for being so much of a complainer, but there was no real conflict here except the CMC kind of getting in an argument, and I thought, okay, maybe that's interesting, and for that reason, I actually want to see this episode again and analyze it a little bit closer because there was no real conflict at Mount Aris. You know, he had to choose between Sequestria or Mount Aris, and it ended up not really being a choice. You know, there wasn't really any real meat there to the episode. But the CMC having this argument, that's kind of like the actual conflict of the episode. And since the map called them, did the map set up this argument for them? That's my question, because the map obviously didn't call them to any real conflict. I mean, maybe a little bit. You know, there wasn't really a huge conflict there other than the CMC or these two getting into an argument. So I don't know. I thought that was interesting.
The map is playing tricks with
Yeah,
them.
maybe the map caused that to teach them a lesson, and it wanted to give them an easy one because it's their first time or something. You know, I mean, you can explain away all those kind of details.
Stupid though.
And then finally,
Maybe
my
the
last
map just
note.
hates the CMC.
My last note in the episode is that this one certainly gives us something to talk about. It's going into a lot of lore, a lot of different character traits and elements like that. The episode itself, the story here is super simple. There's not much to it. In fact, there's like almost nothing to it except for introducing Mount Aris and Sequestria into the show. And that's, I guess, my final thoughts on it is that it does an okay job of introducing a new location, new character types, and all that to the show. But it's not the sort of episode you'll go back and rewatch on its own. It's an episode that supplements the entire rest of the season. So, in a way, that's what we've been asking for, more continuity, more setup and introduction for stuff in the show. And at the same time, it's interesting to see Hasbro, originally they wanted to have every episode stand out on its own so they could sell the episodes individually and, you know, it's more marketable that way. But by having an introduction episode like this, it's kind of what we've been asking for, so I can't complain too much about it. So, either way, sorry for, like, rambling, but I'm going to give this one a 6 out of 10.
Oh, okay. Not bad.
So let's go ahead and calculate our average. Do we have a drum roll?
Sure, I'll give it.
Drummer.
Drummer,
use your drum set.
All right.
No, I don't have one.
Or your hands.
Drum with your
Okay,
shot.
the average for Little Child live stream rating for Surf and/or Turf is a 5.6. Should we round that up, or I guess we'll?
Ouch.
No, keep it at 5.
No. Well,
Dessert 4.
I guess we're gonna round it up to 6 because that's what we usually do. So
No,
it's a
5.
6.
I hate you.
Nope, it's a 6 out of 10.
It's a
I
4.
hate you. I'm just kidding.
All right, thank you everyone for stopping
That's
by.
rounding by a lot.
We'll see you next week. We review these every week, as most of you probably know, as the credits roll. So hope to see you next time. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Technically, already met.